One.
Good afternoon, guys. My name is Emma and my partner's name is Cyrus. And in today's presentation, we will be going over the CLC project this week. As a result of the 2008 and 2009 recession, accusations were made of unethical behavior by Wall Street executives, financial managers, and other corporate officers. The assumption suggested that the reason for this unethical behavior and cheating was due to the prevalence of cheating among business students. According to the Chronicle of Higher Education article in 2009, 56% of business students admitted to cheating, whereas 47% of non-business students admitted to cheating. Cheating has been a common concern at Bo Diddley Tech for years now. And the Dean of the College of Business at Bo Diddley Tech commissioned a study to assess the current ethical behavior of business students at Bo Diddley Tech. She believed that participating in athletics would decrease the chances of cheating, and therefore commissioned this study to identify the present-day ethical behavior of Bo Diddley Tech business students. We are preparing this report as part of our submission to the Dean that summarizes the nature of cheating at Bo Diddley Tech. We desire to identify whether or not participating in athletics reduces the likelihood of cheating. The Dean administered an anonymous survey to a sample of 1,440 students who are graduating this school year, half of whom were business students and the other half were not. The questions regarded the student's college and whether or not he or she was an athlete. We generated a master sample size using a pivot chart. The pivot chart included each of our 100 randomly sorted and selected students. So therefore there were 200 total. The chart contained whether the individual was a business or non-business student, an athlete or non-athlete, and participated or did not participate in cheating.
Using the results from the data set, we formed a pivot table to summarize our results. The pivot table contained business students who were athletes who cheated and didn't cheat. Based on our results, there were 105 business students, 78 whom were considered to be cheaters, and 27 whom were considered to be not. Out of the 105 business students, 50 were athletes and 55 were non-athletes. Out of 50 business athletes, 29 were considered to be cheaters, while the 21 were considered to be not. Out of the 55 business non-athletes, 49 were considered to cheat, and the 6 were not. There were 95 non-business students, and 54 were considered to be cheaters, and 41 were considered to be not. There were 50 non-business athletes, and 33 of them were considered to be cheaters, while the 17 were not. Finally, there were 45 non-business non-athletes, and 21 were considered to be cheating, and 24 were considered to be not. In total, 132 of these students were considered to be cheaters, while 68 were considered to be not. Through completing the process of collecting the required data set, the next step is to organize and analyze the information that was acquired by using the Excel spreadsheet. The first stage within the process was to create a pivot table by utilizing the breakdown that the professor had provided titled Benchmark Coaching. The video consisted of steps on how to create a pivot table, as the video gives instructions to highlight the random sampling size and locate the function called pivot chart, which is revealed to be inserted above the section on the Excel tabs. Once completed, the pivot table should look like the one previously given to you in the slide prior. Lastly, the next step is the bar chart, as this allows a clear perspective on comparing the rate of cheating in Bo Diddley Tech, as research shows that the use of graphs can illustrate the relationship of the data through a visually pleasing perspective, thus and making it more effective than the pivot table. In the bar chart, it identifies that the margin between non-athletes and athletes is huge, as the bar chart shows that non-athletes are more prone to cheat than athletes, therefore showing that the use of information that was provided by the bar chart, the pivot chart, was used to create the bar chart, allowing for a smoother transition to analyze the data and allowing us to visually see the comparison between non-athletes and athletes in both categories. Through the evaluation of collective charts and careful consideration of the hypothesis test, analytics proposed a different circumstance that was previously proposed by the dean, as the dean of Bo Diddley Tech anticipated that through the use of fair play, athletes were less likely to cheat throughout their academic journey. However, the information proposed by the data rejects the null hypothesis of the dean, as the hypothesis test identified that student athletes were more prone to cheat than the national average. Through the category of business students, 50 students involved themselves in athletics, and exactly 58% of them were reported cheating, thus being lower than business non-athletes at 89%. However, through the non-business category of students, the rate of cheating for athletes increased to around a percentage of 66%, beating the rate of non-athletes at 46%. Not thus concluding that the hypothesis should not be rejected for the dean. Moreover, the dean anticipated that the percentage of Bo Diddley Tech in business school was to be higher than the national average, resulting in the null hypothesis not being rejected. When it comes to business athletes versus business non-athletes, the data set does not reject the hypothesis, as it has evaluated that athletes are less prone to cheat than non-athletes overall, as the data set shows that the percentage of cheaters is at 66%, while the national average is at 56%, thus surpassing the national average by a margin of 10%, including that both the business and non-business students surpassed the national average in every category, as the average of cheating was calculated to be at 66%.
So the dean was wanting our input regarding the tweaking of data. There are definitely potential uses of unethical manipulation of data or misleading statistics to provide biased outcomes. A misleading statistic refers to like the misuse of numerical data, whether it's on purpose or if it's not. In this case, the only advantage we could come up with was that it would boost the image of Bo Diddley Tech. It could boost its image through faulty polling, data phishing, or purposeful and selective bias. Although we would not suggest tweaking the data to boost the firm's image due to the many disadvantages it has. A few include the decrease in the firm's integrity, a decrease in their customers, an increased chance of potential lawsuits and fines, and or the disruption of supply chain of new talent at other schools. Therefore, we would suggest a different ethical counterproposal, as things other than the data could be altered. So things that we would suggest would include maybe an increase in security in the classroom while students take tests. So for example, more teachers in the classroom, or they could incorporate an anti-plagiarism software such as like what we use called Lopeswrite. We believe that these things would decrease the chances of cheating while remaining ethical and not manipulating any of the data.
In conclusion, when reviewing both average rates between national and Bo Diddley Tech, there is a noticeable gap, as the national non-business average is at 47%, while the Bo Diddley non-business average is at 57%. Furthermore, the national business average is 56%, and the Bo Diddley Tech business average is at 47%. Due to these drastic margins, the dean of the school wanted to alter the data in order to create a brighter representation of the school. However, his or her demands were unethical and could lead to negative feedback, such as a decreasing the firm's integrity and the trust of the customers, while increasing the chances of lawsuits and fines due to false representation. Therefore, in order to combat the high rates of cheating, a solution has been presented, which is to increase security in the classroom when students are taking tests, and to incorporate an anti-plagiarism software in order to combat against plagiarism and cheating, thus bringing an end to the presentation. And these are the references for the presentation above. I wish everyone a great day and thank you. Okay.